Hey guys, what's happening? We got another quickie review here for you. We got another Scaletrains locomotive we're going to take a look at. This time we're going to be taking a look at the latest run of the ET44, the Tier 4 GEVO. And as you can see, we got this one decorated for Kansas City Southern, number 5003 with the angle exhaust. So what do you say? Let's not waste any time. Let's get this thing out of the box and take a look at it. So hang on just a second. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back, and here it is. Our Scaletrains.com Rivet Counter ET44AC. Of course, from the latest run here. Once again, we have a very, very nice looking locomotive, and apparently I didn't put the truck, get it on the rails right. There we go. We got it on there pretty good now. So why don't we take a tour of this locomotive and see what we got in this edition of the Tier 4 GEVO. So we'll start here at the head end. We'll zoom in right there on the head end, and you'll be able to see the ditch lights, the headlights. Very, very nice looking. Of course, as customary with all Scaletrains engines, we have the nice details, the MU cables, air hose, grab irons on the plows. All look really nicely done. And of course, as with all Scaletrains Rivet Counter engines, you get the semi-scale or the scale head Type E coupler, which is metal. Very nice. And just a beautiful, beautiful paint scheme. The Southern Belle paint scheme. It's a favorite of a lot of rail fans. Of course, if you haven't been keeping up in the news lately, right now, Kansas City Southern is in the middle of a battle to be acquired by either Canadian National or CP Rail, Canadian Pacific. So we'll wait and see how that turns out, because these may become collector's items at some point. So stay tuned for that down the road. But anyway, we'll go ahead and focus on this model. Like I said, very nicely done. On the front, a lot of detail there. The handrails look really nice. Of course, you see the cab window there, the headlights, windshield, two-piece windshield, the number boards, and of course you can see the PTC antennas up there. Maybe a little difficult to see because of them being silver and with this light on. So, but we'll get a closer look at them here in a minute. So, why don't we come around to the side here, and we'll look at the trucks. Very nice detail on the trucks. Of course, all Rivet Counter engines also have spinning bearing caps. So that's always a nice feature. Both Scaletrains and Intermountain locomotives have that, and I really like that feature a lot. So it's pretty cool. So, and of course, you see the cab interior right there. Maybe a little difficult to see right there. There is a little bit of tinting on it, on the windows. Not as much as Intermountain. That's one thing Intermountain has down pat with theirs, is the window tinting. But still, these Scaletrains engines look really, really nice. And of course, you can see the cab interior in there. A lot of grab irons there on the nose. You see the sand filler hatches. The windshield wipers look really nice. There's that wind deflector. Of course, you got a little rear view mirror right there. Maybe a little difficult to see, but there it is right there. And of course, you get a better look at that PTC antenna, which looks really cool. In fact, let's fly over the top of this where you guys can see it. That's really nice. It looks really, really good. Of course, that's how these things look when they're new. They obviously get extremely dirty, so These engines have a couple of years on, so they're not as clean now as they were when they rolled out of the factory, but still very nicely done. Of course, you see all the decaling on top. Even the simulated anti-skid tread on the roof there. There's the Nathan K5HLA air horn. Come back down to the side. And of course, you notice right there the dynamic brake fans, dynamic brake grills are see-through. You can even see the little fans inside. That is really cool right there. So, again, really nice touches there. Really makes these models stand out. Come down to the fuel tank. You see the fuel filler caps there, the fuel sight gauge right there. Maybe a little difficult to tell, but these engines have a lot of nice piping up underneath, but because these underframes on the Kansas City Southern engines are black, maybe a little difficult to see up in there, but yeah, you might can see some of the piping that runs down through there, but that's always a really nice feature too. Again, fuel tank details are really nice. Come back here, you see that little protrusion out from the rear of the tank. That is the, I believe, the waste retention tank. I guess if you want to call that. So that's what they call the waste retention tank. So yeah, there's that, really nicely done. Come back over the top. There's another look at that K5HL air horn. There's a look at the exhaust. Let's fly over the top of it again where you can see it. Really nice looking. They have a lot of depth in there. That exhaust stack looks really nice. Might help they could have painted it black to add even more depth, but still that looks really good. So there's the rear radiator section, of course. Lots of grab arm, lots of grab arms, lots of detail there. It looks really nice. In fact, let me zoom out because I'm probably making everybody car sick looking at that. So, so yeah, really nice right there. And then we'll come back down to the side here and look at the grills on this thing. Of course, once again, as with all previous releases of the Scaletrains Tier 4 Gevo, we have see-through radiator grills. You can even see the shape of the radiator fans there, and that X paneling looks really cool too. That looks really nice. You can see that X paneling right there. Looks really good. Love the see-through grills on these engines. Of course, we'll come back to the rear. Once again, loaded with detail back here. You see the spare knuckles there. There's the Scaletrains metal coupler on the rear, all the MU hoses and air hoses, and cabling there. Rear handrails look good, and even I think, yes, even the rear grills on this engine are see-through. You can actually see it in the light there. That is really neat. So, yeah, really cool stuff. Very stunning engine. I love these Kansas City Southern Bell engines. We don't get them really all that often here in the Thayer subdivision on the prototype, but we do get them every once in a while. Always a treat to see them. So why don't we flip this engine around, take a look at the conductor side and see what we got. So hang on just a second. Okay, we're back on the conductor side now of this locomotive, and pretty much same story, second verse on this side. Tons of detail, looks just absolutely stunning. Let's zoom in on the rear truck. Now, the Scaletrains version of this Tier 4 is pretty interesting. They do not use a real chain like Intermountain does. They in fact use a what's known as a fake chain. Basically what it is, it's plastic. However, it's severed. I'm going to try to point to it if I can, right there. And that's actually by design. That is to make it easier to remove the body and access the drive line of this locomotive to service it. There have been issues with the Intermountain locomotive because of the actual chain they use. It's been reported that it's been pretty difficult to get the bodies off of them for some reasons. However, some people prefer the Intermountain having the actual chain. That's cool. I have an Intermountain one, love it. But I do like engines that are easy to access and maintain. So that's one thing I do like that Scaletrains does. They at least try to make it a little easier on you. So anyway, let's continue on down with the tour of this locomotive. And I apologize for my shakiness. We'll come down the fuel tank once again. You see the E-bell right there. Looks really good. There's the fuel sight gauge again on the conductor side, the fuel filler caps, the inverter box on the side. And we come back to the cab where you see the Kansas City Southern Lines logo on the cab and the number 5003. Looks really nice. Decals all look really nice. Looks like they're readable under magnification. And the safety tread, I didn't mention this, but the safety tread right here looks really good on this locomotive too. Very nicely done, I have to say, right there. So yeah, my overall thoughts as far as the appearance of this engine, very nice looking engine. I wouldn't expect anything less from Scaletrains, but we know what's coming next. We're going to see how this thing performs, because looks will only get you so far. It's got to do the job too. So we'll turn this locomotive back around, turn the DCC system on, and see what she's got. If it's like my other two Tier 4s, I'd say this one's going to be a pretty good runner. So why don't we pause it, and we'll well, actually, one thing I do need to add before I pause it, I didn't do this at the start, but most of you probably know how the Scaletrains engines come packaged, but for those that don't, here's the packaging. Right here, you got your nice clear plastic clamshell packaging. If you can see it right there, you get spare bearing caps. That's always a nice plus. That's one thing I have high regards for Scaletrains with, is that they do include extra bearing caps, because these can fall off eventually on these locomotives. So it's always nice to have a few spares laying around just in case. And of course, we have the clips here that go up under the trucks to keep them from moving around, possibly getting damaged in transport. Very sturdy box, by the way. There's your instruction manual right there. Should protect the box should protect the locomotive in storage and transport really good. So anyway, that's pretty much standard with the Scaletrains engines. Not much change there. So now let's pause it, and we'll turn this engine around and see how it runs. So hang on just a second. Okay, we're back and we're ready to try this locomotive out here. You notice I've turned the light off because we want to go through the lighting if we can. So why don't we hit F8 and fire this thing up. Why did it turn the ditch lights on? F8, there we go. Had a little malfunction with my DCC system, sorry about that. Of course, you hear it go through the startup sequence. Now, a lot of people will say that this engine sounds pretty quiet. I have been around the real Tier 4s. That's actually just about spot on volume for these engines. They are not that loud when they're idling. In fact, I have an 89 Ford pickup that's louder than these engines are when they're idling. So, and it's only got a 6-cylinder in it. So, anyway, we digress. But one thing I do want to show you, check out the, we got the light and number boards, of course, but check it out. These latest runs of the Tier 4s, if you're not familiar with these new runs, they do come now with operating walkway lights on the front and rear and side. This side here. Let me try to get to the rear there where you can see the rear light. There's the rear light right there. And this is cool too. Functioning ground lights on both sides of this engine. That is really, really awesome. And that you can probably see it, the other side right there is lit too. So, but that is really, really awesome. So, why don't we start by turning on the headlight? And that is not, I don't know why my controller is not behaving itself, but that is a coupler uncut lever. So let's try it again. There's the headlight, ditch lights, very nice and bright. Air horn, air horn. Function 1's the bell. Now the air horn. Oh. There we go. And of course, your little horn bell comes on automatically, just as it does on the prototype. So why don't we go ahead and move this engine forward? Well, let's start speed step 1 and see if it moves under its own power. Yes, sir. Speed step 1. We're moving. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course function 4 is a dynamic brake. And there you hear it right there. Sounds pretty doggone good. Okay, stop it. Put it in reverse. Of course, you see the rear headlight lit up right there. Looks really nice, so we'll back it up. And we're going to call this review good. By the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video. This is going to be part 1 of a 2-part review. We are going to break out the 2 past runs of this Tier 4 Gevo that I have, as well as the operator model, as well as compare it to the Intermountain model. So you guys are going to want to stick around for this one, for part 2. So we'll catch you next time in that review. So until then, or when we do the comparison of these engines. So take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the review, and we'll see you in part 2. Take care, everybody.